With Ninjago having like well over 10 full season releases at this point in time, well, with Ninjago also being a LEGO theme, there have been a lot of different set waves to coincide with all of those individual seasons. As with anything, some of these waves are very, very popular, some are disliked, maybe even hated, you could say. And then there also exists a grey space of sorts, where some forgotten set waves can be found. Of course, at the end of the day, this is very, very subjective, as waves that I personally consider to be forgotten could be somebody else's favourite. It's all completely subjective, as I say. And while that is definitely going to be the case today, I just cannot shake the opinion that the Ninjago movie set wave is definitely one of, if not the most forgotten Ninjago set wave of all time. Which is actually kind of ironic, considering this is probably like the biggest set wave we've ever had, I want to say. Just off the top of my head, this wave definitely seems the biggest. And, oh, before I do actually get started with today's video, I figured that I should probably explain what it is I actually want to kind of do and achieve in this video. Essentially though, I just want to go through a list of images of the sets from the Ninjago movie wave and break them down and discuss my general opinion on each set. This might sound boring, but I have quite literally not looked at most of these sets for ages. I doubt I've even seen most of these for quite a few years. So yeah, it's certainly been a while, and I think that for all of those reasons, it's going to make for quite an interesting watch. With all of this out of the way though, let's get started. I also would like to very quickly mention here that there is no specific order. I just have all of these photos for all of the sets saved onto my camera roll here, and I'm just going to be swiping through, giving my opinions, and just kind of like picking these sets apart, because again, I legitimately have not looked at these for years. I know a lot of them, at least, anyway. So this is the Quake Mech. It is literally just called Quake Mech officially, and this one's pretty interesting, I would say. In terms of the mechs for the Ninjago movie, we did actually get quite a few of them. I know that the other main one that's completely coming to mind is the Kai Fire Mech, which obviously we'll be getting onto, but I would say that I think I do prefer the Quake Mech over that Kai Mech a little bit. I know that the Kai Mech is a lot bigger, so if you guys are into that kind of traditional mech look, then you might prefer that one. And don't get me wrong, I do still like the Kai Mech, but I don't know, this mech, the Coal Mech, just looks really, really good in my opinion. As with all of these Ninjago movie sets, I just don't like the minifigure selection. I've got to say that right off the bat. I'm just not the biggest fan of them. I couldn't tell you why necessarily, I just, again, don't really like them. But in this one, we get some, well, we get two army builder character type people. We get a news guy who I do not know the name of. We get Coco, who is Misako in the movie, and obviously Cole. But yeah, the minifigures aren't really why I would ever want to buy this set. I would want it for that really, really unique actual mech build. I think that one looks great. Moving forward, though, we have a set that I actually do not know the name of officially, because the image I have chosen here does not display the name on the box. So feel free to fill me in on the comments. I think it's something along the lines of Zane's ice tank or something. But again, bear with me, I have absolutely no idea. This is another fairly good one, I would say. I really like the triangular build it's got going on. Definitely some really unique shapes in general that we just don't really see in any other Ninjago sets. So when it comes to, well, a triangle set, then this is definitely a set for you if you are into that kind of thing. But on the more serious side of things, I do definitely really enjoy this one. I really like the massive tracks it has, obviously, on either side. It's got some form of big cannon off to the, well, off to our right. Obviously, on the set, it will be on its left. But yeah, I really, really do like this one. Fairly solid minifigure selection, although, again, not really the biggest fan of any of these selections. But yeah, this one overall is very, very solid in my personal opinion. Next up, we have a set that I did own, keyword there being did, because I moved house quite a lot since I actually got this set back in like 2017. I've moved house like 2 times since, and during the moving process, you guys probably know how hectic it can be. Sadly, this one just ended up being lost to all of that. It's just kind of in pieces. I've got the minifigures from it, or at least most of them, I'm pretty sure, but yeah, as for the set, I've got a few pieces still around of it in completely random parts, but yeah, overall, it's been decimated in my personal collection. But yeah, this one's really, really solid. I do find that the dragon is a bit too long, if that makes sense. Like, just when you're handling it, it's just very thin. There's not really too much to it in general. So as a result, you're getting a much longer build, but there's just not much actual, like, depth to it. There's not much to hold on to, and also that tail just kind of moves around way too much for my liking. It's definitely a very personal opinion, and obviously you guys may think entirely differently, but for me, this set just never fully did it for me. I can't really explain, but yeah, this dragon, it's cool. Is it a bit overrated still? Yes, definitely in my opinion. Next up, we have a very small one. I don't even want to spend much time on this one. It is called Spinjitzu Training. This is another one that I did purchase back in the day. It's been lost over time, though, and I'm sure most of you guys have probably owned this set if you were into Ninjago back then. It was a really, really cheap one, like £8 or something like that. It was, yeah, the build was okay, I guess, for what it was. It was literally just a tiny set. It also came with Kai and Zane, who are honestly the main reasons to buy the set, just for those figures. But yeah, it was cool overall. It was, again, good for what it was, but there's not really much else to say regarding that one. Next up, we have a set that, yeah, this is one I literally have not looked at. It's just so forgettable. It's the Ninjago City Chase. This is a prime example of one of those sets in this video that we're going to be looking at together. And I have, like, not seen this set for so long. So these are, like, my properly raw, genuine opinions. First of all, I just want to say and clarify one thing. That casual Lloyd minifigure looks really, really cool. I kind of forgot we actually got an official variant of that. I like his face expression there as well. That does look nice. Same with the casual Nier as well. Really, really cool outfit. As for the rest of it, I mean, yeah, the vehicle is quite cool, to be fair, for what it is, although, again, quite bland. I do think, though, that that could easily fit into somebody's Lego City collection very easily, maybe with a few swap-outs, just because of the police sticker up top there. If you swapped a few minor things around, this could definitely fit into a a Lego City collection scenario, so yeah, I do like that. The small stall we have out back as well is cool, I guess. I think this was like a £20 set, $20, whatever, when it was first released. So for that price, I mean, yeah, sure, it's cool, but it's not really my personal cup of tea. And if it was out on shelves now, it's nothing I would go and rush to buy or anything like that. Next up, we have, I believe this one is called Master Falls, and this was another fairly cheap one, I believe. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. The first thing I'm noticing here, though, is that the box looks really, really long. We definitely don't get many boxes that are that shape nowadays. But as for the set itself, I do actually really like it. It reminds me of the Season 4 set. I don't know what that one was called. Maybe I'm getting the names confused. Feel free to fill me in on that in the comments. But this one is quite cool. I do actually like it, and I do sort of wish I had it. It's nothing crazy or just, like, amazing, but I actually quite like it, and I think this would fit onto one of my Lego shelves really, really nicely nowadays. I'm actually looking at this, and I'm like, damn, yeah, I really want this one. Obviously, we also get that crazy version of Garmadon with his really hairy chest, which was always kind of funny in the movie. But yeah, this set looks really, really nice in my opinion. And again, I want to say that it was around £20 to £30, which actually seems like a pretty good price for what this is. Next up, okay, honestly, I am dead serious here. I actually had no idea this thing existed. I've obviously saved the photos on my phone, so I've sort of seen them since, but this is one I feel like I haven't seen for, like, literal years upon years. I have no recollection of this set at all. Again, I don't know what it's called because the image I have chosen for it doesn't display the name, but this one looks pretty wacky, all things considered. I'm imagining another fairly cheap set, like £30 or something, but this one is whatever, to be honest. It's a fairly generic villain-type build. Nothing I would be interested in purchasing now. Again, it just seems fairly bland to me. I don't know, maybe that's just me being a little bit boring and silly. Maybe some of you guys really, really love this set, but for me personally, this one just doesn't really do it for me. And the minifigures, again, are okay. I do quite like the shark guy, to be fair, but the rest, yeah, it's very skippable, and it's probably for that reason that I have no memory of this set at all. Next up, we have the Flying Jelly sub, and this set is quite cool, I guess. This is definitely one I do remember, don't get me wrong, and this isn't one I've forgotten about. But yeah, I do quite like it. It's a fairly small build from what I can remember. I remember I used to watch a lot of reviews back in the day when these were releasing, and I remember definitely watching quite a few reviews on this one in particular. And yeah, it's decent, I guess, but yeah, there's not really much else to say. It's very unique, I will give it that. And I do like the jelly minifigure in the set. He's such a wacky guy. I love how angry he looks in the set, but then he's got this really goofy, like, jellyfish mold on top of his head. That actually does make it quite funny. But yeah, this one's definitely quite solid, although it's not one of the best of the wave. It's pretty much bang on average, if that makes any sense to you guys. Next up, we have the Water Strider, and this is one that definitely has stuck with me over the years, to be completely honest with you guys. This is one of those sets that actually is quite cool looking, and it's very, very unique as well. That's one thing I will give this wave. Despite it somehow being forgettable to me, there are so many very unique designs for these sets, stuff that we really haven't seen anything of since, and considering that a lot of Ninjago sets nowadays are starting to feel quite samey, maybe they could go back to the Ninjago movie and take some inspiration from sets like the Water Strider, because we could really do with more sets that look similar to this. Obviously, not a carbon copy, but just something inspired from this, because this one looks really, really cool, and I do definitely like it. This is probably my favourite of the wave, I must say, the Mecha Man. Let's also just talk about how awesome that name is. I really, really love the name for this set. It's a really big, bulky mech. I just really, really enjoy this one. And now that I think about it, when I see other people's collections just across the internet, this is one of those really rare sets that I feel as though has like really, really gone under the radar over the years. I always forget about this set, but it's actually really, really good looking. I do, again, really enjoy this one. Minifigure selection is honestly pretty horrendous for this. I think this one was fairly expensive, like 60, 70, maybe even £80 as well. So that kind of minifigure selection for that price is just not cutting it for me. But as for the actual design of the mech itself, this one is really cool. I love how overly bulky it is. The legs look crazy. I'm a massive, massive fan of this one, to be completely honest with all of you. Next up, we have the J-Jet thing. I've got no idea what it was actually called. It was probably just like the lightning jet or something. And this is another really, really wacky one. Not one of the ones I've completely forgotten about by any means, but it's also one I don't necessarily think of when I first think of cool J sets. But maybe I should think of this one a little bit more. I like all of the spikes coming off it. They really captured the electricity lightning feel that this set is meant to obviously have in the first place. I am definitely quite a big fan of this one, to be honest. And now that I think about it, actually, I feel as though I have actually seen this one in quite a few people's collections, unlike the Mecha Man we have just taken a look at. This one's definitely pretty solid, that's for sure, though. Next up, we have the Fire Mech set that I was talking about earlier, and, oh yeah, it's literally just called Fire Mech. So just like Cole's was called the Quake Mech, the names seem to be very, very upfront. There's no crazy adjectives to describe these sets. It's literally just Fire Mech. And for 944 pieces, I remember this set being really, really tall. That's actually a little bit less than what I was thinking, to be completely honest with all of you guys. That's actually quite a fairly good piece count, I want to say. Again, just considering how imposing and tall this thing looked. I'm a big fan of this one. There's not really much posability to it from what I remember. Obviously, this was before the time we actually got knees within Lego mechs, so it was a little bit before that era. But yeah, this one's really, really nice, and it's definitely one of the best standalone Kai sets we have literally ever gotten, in my personal opinion. I'm actually a really, really big fan of this one, I think. So yeah, this one's very good, and he's always like the mascot of the Ninjago movie wave for me. I've got no idea why, it just always ended up like that. But yeah, this one, thumbs up from me. Let's move on to the next. We have the Temple of the Ultimate Weapon, and I should really go ahead and take a look at a few reviews for this particular set, because I'm looking at the box art and I just don't remember much of it behind, obviously, the front. We got those crazy, like, wolf guys. They did something in the movie, but I have only ever seen the movie once when it first released, so I don't really remember. But yeah, the temple itself looks cool, although I think it's just really flat around the back, and that's probably why I'm not really remembering anything from it. It's okay, I suppose. It's, like, a cool set, but I don't know, for one of like the flagship sets of the wave, it's not really doing it for me. Although again, maybe that's just me being a bit weird and boring about things, but I don't know, this one never really connected with me very much. I don't know about you guys, but again, for me personally, yeah, I'm just not the biggest fan of this one, all things considered. Next up, we have the Destiny's Bounty, and hot take, this is not my favourite bounty at all. I know a lot of people will be in the comments with their torches and pitchforks about that, but yeah, I've got to be honest, I just don't like this bounty as much as some of the other bounties we have gotten since. I would honestly probably choose the land bounty over this, which again, I know you guys are going to crucify me for that, but the land bounty is just awesome. This one is definitely cool, don't get me wrong, I don't want to sound like I'm hating on this one. It's really, really cool. I would still love to have it in my personal collection, but yeah, this one isn't quite my favourite. I know a lot of people, again, really, really talk about how this set is just so perfect, so amazing, and I don't know, maybe that will change once I ever get it in person, but yeah, for me personally, not amazing, not the best set of the wave, but it's still very, very good. Next up, we're moving on to the big Ninjago City sets, and this is just the Ninjago City, the one that really started it all. I'm actually just now realising that we actually got a small build of that small boat that we saw in Season 8 Sons of Garmadon, where Lloyd and Harumi were trying to find the Mask of Hatred. Had no idea that was actually in this set, but that's something I've just remembered here. Well, I've just seen it, and yeah, I didn't know that, so that's actually really, really cool. We've got lots of printed money pieces, which I find funny for some reason. Yeah, overall, this set is really, really cool, although a tad outdated, I would say, because we've had so many Ninjago City sets since that do outdo this one, in my personal opinion. So, yeah. Moving on, we have, well, bit of an abrupt change here, but we have the Piranha Attack, and this is a fairly cheap set, and I've got to say that for that cheap price point, this one was actually really amazing. It's so goofy, but it really, really works in my opinion, and again, I just like how serious the foot soldiers were for this wave, and how goofy they were in terms of what they were wearing and what they were driving, this being an example of that. This one is just kind of hilarious, all things considered. Next up, we have the Garmadon Volcano Lair, and this was always more of like a play set to me, more than a set that I actually want personally, because I don't personally play with my sets. Again, a very subjective thing. I just like to display them, and I'm not sure this one would look the best on display. It's more made for play, at least that's what I personally perceive it as, and again, I'm just not the biggest fan of it. I like what they were going for. It reminds me of the Jestro Lair from Nexo Knights, if you guys remember that set, but just a little bit worse, honestly. I'm not the biggest fan of this one, although it's nothing bad. I don't want to sound like I'm, again, just being really negative here, but it's just not the best, if that makes sense. This one, though, is probably like my favourite set of the entire wave, and it's also probably got one of the best names out of any Ninjago set ever. It's called Garmadon, 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 3 Garmadons, and yeah, it's just really, really cool. I don't know in terms of posability what it's like. The legs look pretty fixed in place, but the design of that whole shark thing going on, it's just so, so awesome. And I like how in this stock photo, it's kind of like going to chew down on this hot dog stand. That's kind of funny, but yeah, I really would love this one, to be honest, and the more I think about it, the more I actually want this one in my personal collection. I think it would look so good on a shelf. I definitely need to get my hands on that one. But next up is another one I need to get my hands on, and this is the Ninjago City docks, and in my opinion, this might actually look a bit better than the Ninjago City, in my opinion. I really, really like it. I think this one released in like 2019, maybe 2018. Yeah, I think 2018. It was the year after the Ninjago movie. It came out quite a lot later for some reason, which was always kind of weird to me, but yeah, I really, really like this one. Nothing to really say about it specifically, although I do like that blue, tall, like, tower building off to the right there. That's really, really cool, actually. I did always like that for some reason. That always stuck out to me. The rest of it, yeah, it's very, very good. I would happily own this one. I sadly don't know, but yeah. And with all of that being said, you guys, that is actually going to conclude it for my look here today at all of the Ninjago movie sets. Hopefully you did actually end up enjoying this one. Just kind of wanted to take a really casual approach to today's video, taking a look at every set, because again, I find this wave to be so forgotten in my books. So yeah, I just wanted to revisit it with all of you and give my honest, raw reaction to all of these sets. If you did end up enjoying today's video, please do feel free to support it in any way you can. Of course, leaving a like on it really helps me out. Subscribing to the channel really helps me out as well, like so much. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers, so any more support would be greatly appreciated. And if you guys enjoyed today's video and want to see more, be sure to turn on that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all of my future content whenever I do post it every few days. And I will see you all very soon for a new video, so take it easy, you guys, and see you soon. Goodbye.